our friends at Jimmy Eat World said, we're going to buy the Suns.
I love that.
To which I replied, it just takes some time. That's definitely true. But in some serious,
I don't get that.
it's a lyric from their most
From
famous
Jimmy Eat World.
song.
Oh,
Just
middle.
take some time.
Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything's be all right. Anyways.
You would know it if you heard it.
would I?
Yes.
Yes.
It
It's
was
been played at
everywhere for a decade.
Bars and the radio.
I didn't know any of their songs when they played for the finals.
Oh dear.
Well, so,
has been a guest on this.
Zach
I know.
Lind.
I can support you guys in that effort. That doesn't mean I listen to the music.
Sorry, Jimmy Eat World.
That's tough.
But on to actual potential
Mhm.
owners here. So we've got Lauren Powell Jobs here, also known as a woman who once went 8 years without a couch or a chair despite having billions of dollars. Actual fact about her.
Oh.
She's the widow of Steve Jobs, but more than that, she owns 20% of the Wizards and Capitals. She owns the magazine, the Atlantic, and she has done a lot of charitable work. She's worth an estimated $18.5 billion.
Sheesh.
She's supposedly very interested in buying this team, and I think
I love that one.
I do too, given the situation they're coming out of, given her background in charitable work and what she stands for. It's very intriguing. Plus, definitely has the money to do this, and already is well aware of what happens in ownership of sports teams, being part of Ted Leonsis' ownership group there in Washington of those two teams. Next on the list, we've got, Jeff Bezos. You know it, a man who looks like the Six Flags guy after a budget makeover.
Oh, dear.
He has an estimated $165.7 billion and a phallic-shaped spacecraft, which I think is
I don't
problematic.
know why you're so
in and of
obsessed
itself.
with that.
Well, because
That's
of
like
what we
the
just
eighth
came out.
time I've
It's
heard that
what we just
today.
come out of with Bobby there. Like, this guy's problematic in the way he treats his employees at Amazon, or he did when he was running it. I think this would be problematic. Now, you're not going to get deeper pockets than Jeff Bezos.
No.
You may get all Suns games on Amazon Prime, but you may have to sell part of your soul in terms of it as well, based on his track record.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
if I can get it at a cheap rate, I'll watch the Suns games no matter what channel they're on. But just Jeff Bezos, if he came in and he was like, and he went Steve Ballmer like, where he was like, I don't care what it costs, we're gonna do it, then cool. But if he comes in and he tries to run this like he's run Amazon, highly successful company, I know, but a lot of the interior problems still remain behind the scenes. And that's exactly what you just got out of with Sarver. So why would you go back into something that has the same kind of vibes? I just don't see the NBA signing off on that. Plus, I mean, Jeff Bezos would have more money than just about the entire NBA combined.
Right.
And that could be problematic as well.
Didn't we read that somewhere where he was some NFL team was like talking to him about buying the team, and he was like, how much for the whole league type
Yeah.
of situation?
He's interested in the Washington Commanders if
That's right.
Dan Snyder quits or is removed, excuse me. And in part, he owns the Washington Post as well. Next on the list is Larry Ellison, the owner of Oracle and an AARP Iron Man. I mean, he looks like Iron Man Tony Stark if he aged way too far. He's got $62.5 billion. So another guy with lots of money. I believe he tried to get the Warriors at one point too. He was interested in them back before the current ownership group. So
I like deep pockets.
deep, very, very deep pockets. This next guy, not so much though. Bob Iger, a former CEO of Disney and a multimillionaire with a third grade classroom style. I don't know where this was a photo in a magazine, and he's sitting there with a plastic globe and a random chair. But yeah, he has the least money of the entire group at $650 million. But I bet he'd be the head of a larger group that would try
Ownership
to
group.
try
Yeah.
to buy it.
I think that actually isn't a bad scenario because we've seen what he's done at Disney. You saw his track record is stupendous, especially organizationally. So having somebody at the head of that might not be the worst thing in the world.
Well, not to mention he's well acquainted with the higher ups at the NBA as he oversaw ESPN. So obviously television contracts, and the bubble was at Disney World, and he had a hand in that as well.
And the creative means to be able to navigate this new digital kind of space. We see the NFL already taking advantage of multiple platforms to be able to stream their games. Having somebody that has that sense to pull, I don't know, maybe your games off of a network that only shows it on one fucking channel or one subscription-based place. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying Suns games are limited, and we would like to access them in more than just one space.
Yes, and it's also worth noting that Sarver has the power to sell to who he wants to, so this could just come down to who offers him the most.
Yes and no, though, because the league has to approve.
The league has to
anybody.
approve, but the league is going to approve whoever makes them the most money. So I would love for it to be Iger or someone, because you look at some of these names and yes, they have some problematic things about them. We should also bear in mind that if we're talking about billionaires, there's a good chance that all of them have something.
Yes.
Yeah, the morals
problematic.
aren't exactly
Morally.
there.
Yeah, Eric
No.
Rodriguez literally said that. He's like, we need an owner with good morals. Good luck finding
As
that
much
person.
as I agree and would appreciate that, I don't think you'll find somebody who has more than $1 billion who has the highest level of moral.
That's why we're rooting for Bob Iger, because he only has $650 million. Is that the way we're going to do this?
Yes, and he does have a partnership with Chris Paul of some sort, if I remember correctly.
I believe
reading
so.
about that.
as well.
So
And the last one, Phil Knight, the co-founder of Nike, and the Walmart Michael Caine. He very
dear.
much looks like Michael Caine in this photo. He's worth
Who's Michael
$40.8.
Caine?
He played Alfred in the Batman
Alfred in-
trilogy.
I'm
he's
just
in
fucking
every
around.
single.
I just
Okay.
wanted to say that.
I was like, dang, how many of these have you missed
He-
today?
First Jim Eat World, now this.
He's an old British white guy. All right.
Oh, okay.
There you
That
go.
explains it.
Phil Knight, obviously of Nike fame, has lots of money, has ties to the Valley. Actually, a good friend with Jerry Colangelo, he was and used to be around the franchise a lot when Jerry owned it. Older, he's in his 80s, I believe, which I'm not sure that's. I know he will have a lot of money, but you probably want somebody with a long-term future, I'm guessing, if you're the NBA. But those are the names that have come up so far. I'm sure there'll be others with money to burn that want to.
There's been a couple others I've heard too, like Artie Moreno, who's selling the Angels as we speak. I can imagine that's a pretty lucrative deal that's going to come his way as well.
Mhm.
He has ties to the Valley. He's a U of A guy. He's also heavily involved in the Hispanic community. So that kind of aligns a little bit with like a guy like Devin Booker, who's embracing his Hispanic roots and getting more active in that community as well. So, listen, I think we're going to hear about 50 other names before all is said and done. The biggest thing is, especially for our fan base, who desperately wants somebody to come in here and represent the purple and orange the way it should be represented. They have to be all in.
Mhm.
Like I'm tired of owners running these sports franchises like they're a business, like they're just a normal mom and pop shop or a Walmart or something like that. Too many people are too emotionally invested in things like this, and you can't just slap them in the face for the bottom dollar. So I hope the NBA, who's done recently, they've done a pretty good job of getting owners in that understand that, like Steve Ballmer obviously being the latest one. So hopefully that happens.